Alright guys, hello and welcome. We are back with another attempt here at casting some Alchemy League. This time, I caved into the machine. I let it choose the OBS settings that it wanted. And I did some very simple modifications that I thought would improve performance, but not very much. I just ran the wizard, and let us hope that this wizard is all-powerful. So hopefully we can make it through the cast today, and if we can, then I can start inviting all of these dignified co-casters back to help me cover Alchemy League, because this is some awesome stuff. We got some very talented players. Alchemy League Season 9 is played on Hyperrandom by Zetnus. For my own sanity purposes, I am not going to cover the set that I've tried to do the past 2 times. I picked a different set. Sorry guys, sorry Alexander and Mizumi if you were excited to see me cast your set. I promise I will cast games that you play, but they will be different games, because I just am tired of casting or attempting to cast the same set again. So we're going to have a little bit of variety here. We got a lot of sets to choose from because they are pouring in at this time. So we are going to look at Empire versus Flying Mouse. Flying Mouse is a German player. He has been with us since Alchemy League Season 4, and he is lower 1500s. And Empire is, I believe, a Colombian player. He is lower 1600s, and he has been with us since last season. So Flying Mouse, more experienced with the league, but less experienced on the ranked ladder. Empire, more experienced on the ranked ladder, less experienced within the league. We'll see which one pulls out ahead. You guys would be surprised, actually. Specific league experience with these settings does help players out a lot. And it, with some returning guys, it can get pretty competitive. Okay, so introducing the players now. Let's just talk about their draft real quick so that we can get into the games. The way that the draft works is there are 5 global bans, and then they each globally ban 2 civilizations, and then they pick 3, simultaneously snipe 1 hidden, so they find out after, which ones were sniped when it's revealed, and then they have the chance to pick 2 more. So that left Empire with the Byzantines, the Chinese, the Italians, and the Huns, and Flying Mouse with the Persians, the Georgians, the Armenians, and the Burgundians. Although we're not sudden death here, we do have a number of other standard victory conditions, because Alchemy League is played on standard victory. So, you get relics, you build a wonder, whatever. You can win that way. Alright, so we will minimize this and we will get into the games. I really appreciate you guys bearing with me through the last 2 attempts. We will adjust the overlay and then hit play. Alright, so we got Empire in the red, playing as the Italians, and we have Flying Mouse in the blue, playing as the Georgians. And this is, of course, Hyperrandom. We got a lot of different random resources. The resource storage, like the amount of meat on these chickens, is random. These are some fat chickens too. These are like meat chickens. They have 62 food on them apiece. Usually, I think they have 45. Maybe not though. Gold mine. 788. So as you can see, it's somewhat random. These mouflons are a little bit lean. The predators don't have food on them, because if they did, then their spontaneous attack against a villager, after the villager fights the predator off, it will stop and collect the predator's resources, instead of continuing on to do whatever it was doing. So Italians versus Georgians. Can you guys hear the game all right? I think I might need to add some sound, some basic sound for the game here. Let's see, maybe we add, I don't know. I'll check it later. I guess it's not that big of a deal. If you guys can't hear the game, but let me know, because I don't want to proceed on the hunch. Now, Flying Mouse actually impressively finding the lake and docking up. Flying Mouse has played his fair share of hybrid maps, so he finds this lake. You start with this starting scout of, well, I don't know what this guy is actually. He's got 1 hit point, but a lot of armor. So don't run into the enemy town center with him, because despite all of this armor, the enemy town center will do a minimum of 1 damage. Actually, it'll do a minimum of like 5 damage because of all the extra arrows. So it will kill him. he will not survive, and his vision is quite poor. So basically, when he's ready to die, he'll just spontaneously walk underneath the enemy town center and die. And that is probably what will happen here pretty soon, as Flying Mouse is looking for his opponent. Wait a second. Flying Mouse managed to... Nope, he doesn't know. So Flying Mouse did not click or anything. He still doesn't know where his opponent is. That's pretty lucky, actually, that he didn't stumble upon his opponent's town center just now. So Flying Mouse managing to find the body of water. Empire has found the lake as well, and it looks like he is sending a few villagers out to collect from it. Or he's sending one villager out. I guess this is a house-building villager. He knows that there's going to be some fish in there. Now, this is, this lake is kind of random. It's got some willows along the shoreline. It actually kind of looks a little bit more like a pond in that respect. But it's got a lot of fish. Holy crap. Look at all of these marlins and such. So the lake is going to be a big source of conflict for these players. I predict in this game. This is not an amount of food that you want to ignore. So both players have docked. Flying Mouse has a better dock position. Empire has kind of docked within this little cove or inlet. One thing that I wish that Age of Empires did a little bit better, and I'm sure you guys will disagree with this, but on Age of Empires, like, you want to dock at the very tip of a landmass so that you have maximum fish access, right? But in real life, docks were not built on the end, the ends of a peninsula or anything like that. Docks were built in sheltered areas because navigation and water and that was all kind of like a threat and stuff. And in Age of Empires, there's just no way to account for that mechanic. So kind of the result is that docks, they don't really need any protection. It's sort of unfortunate. All right, so Flying Mouse is playing as the Georgians. The Georgians get, I believe, the free mule cart, which is a big economic benefit. Yeah, this is kind of broken. But the devs still haven't fixed it yet. I guess they view it as important. And to be fair, Empire could have sniped it, or he could have banned the Georgians initially, or he could have picked them for himself. So it's not like he's just a poor victim, the free mule cart. He could have prevented it if he really wanted to. But I think Empire has some kind of plan. Now Italians, they go up to the feudal age faster. Let me see if I can click on these. Yeah, there we go. So this gives us a little bit better of an idea of how many villagers and military and everything, and Empire is indeed going up to the feudal age on 23 population. Flying Mouse is on 24 population. They're not, these are not really fast feudal. Oh, they start with a barracks, by the way. But these are not really fast feudal type builds, right? This isn't some insane 19 pop archers build, get in on your opponent's gold, something like that. These guys are like, okay, well, I'm building a dock. I need to do water map strategy. And on water maps, you tend to go up later just because you're building fishing ships and because you need to be able to sustain fire ship or galley production from 2 docks, or maybe even more than that. So we see Empire's going to be up first. He's going to be up in just a few seconds, actually, but he will have less economy, whereas Flying Mouse has 25 villagers, but he's only halfway up to the feudal age. So there's kind of an important critical window here for Empire to make those fire ships and sink Flying Mouse's fishing ships, which is like killing villagers. And it looks like Flying Mouse has prepared a drush as well. He's got another militia on the way, and those militia are going to go and be a big distraction in Empire's town, probably. Although Flying Mouse has to be careful that he doesn't run into these bears. Oh, he doesn't know about them. He doesn't know about them, and the militia are going to walk right by them. That is kind of unlucky. If Flying Mouse is quick, maybe he can use the hill to fight off the bears. Yeah, okay, so he does notice. There's another bear here. The bear is on his way. So the HP loss is going to be minimal because it's 2 versus 1 bear, and the bear is fighting downhill. Alright, so that's a little annoying for Flying Mouse, but it could have been a lot worse. It could have been like the bear was following him halfway across the map. There's a monkey. How often do you see monkeys and black bears in the same map? I mean, is there some place in the world where monkeys and black bears coexist peacefully? Alright, so this is actually not a drush. It is man-at-arms. So, Flying Mouse just trying to hang on here on water. He is building fire galleys now that he's in feudal age. And of course, feudal age was a prerequisite for being able to make man-at-arms. So he's going to come around, and I think he's going to go for the... Oh, yeah, look at this. This is really smart from Flying Mouse. He's going for the villagers that could be used to repair fire ships. An Empire attempting a quick wall to save that villager, but she doesn't make it. So Flying Mouse is here with some man-at-arms, and you see Empire built a spearman. He was expecting Flying Mouse to go scouts, but Flying Mouse did not go scouts. Actually, Empire did not really do a good job of exploring Flying Mouse's base, I don't think. I guess he's got some stuff, but he doesn't know where Flying Mouse is taking wood, which, to be fair, is kind of hard because Flying Mouse wouldn't have built a lumber camp in the first place. And he also doesn't know where Flying Mouse is taking really any of his resources at all. Doesn't know where Flying Mouse is taking gold. He's just kind of got the scout here. Flying Mouse coming out just to shank this 1 HP scout there. Does not want the scout spying on him. And Flying Mouse getting the same treatment over here from Empire. And these man-at-arms looking to make inroads, but Empire managing to wall them out. So Flying Mouse is just working on this palisade gate here, and Empire has built a defensive archery range as Italians. Flying Mouse has managed to outproduce Empire on the water. This was something to be expected because Empire went up so quickly, and yet Empire, I guess he sunk some of Flying Mouse's fishing ships. He killed 3 or 4 of them. I guess that could be considered a win for Empire. But Flying Mouse still has an economic advantage. So Flying Mouse with 33 villagers and Empire with only 29. So Flying Mouse here looking to get some more kills. He does manage to kill a villager. These man-at-arms somehow got in, but we missed it. And these man-at-arms want to get in. Empire realizing, this guy realizing he's fighting those man-at-arms alone, so he has to withdraw. The man-at-arms don't really want to fight the archers. They just want to do damage to the villagers. So maybe Flying Mouse will get another villager, and he does. And I think that he's just about out of steam here. And the last of the interior man-at-arms are going to go down. Flying Mouse realizing that the rest are just going to get picked off from behind the safety of that gate, so he pulls back. This villager manages to get away. This villager just a few seconds later. These man-at-arms might have been able to pick him off for their own satisfaction. It looks like Flying Mouse is also taking these mouflons. Not a lot of meat on the mouflons this time. They only have 113. They're pretty scrawny little goats. But, mule cart, free mule cart. Start with a free mule cart, so might as well go out there. Could walk anywhere. It's kind of broken, honestly. All right, the last of these man-at-arms get cleaned up, and now the initiative is with Empire to stage a counterattack. Flying Mouse building a house here. I guess he's... he doesn't really need it. I don't know why he's building it. And he's already got vision in this area. Maybe he just kind of started it. Maybe this lady needed something to do. Not sure. But Flying Mouse has no walling. He's done a lot of damage to Empire, but he's about to take a lot of damage unless he builds a tower right here, right now. And then maybe he can... He doesn't have a market. He really needs 2 towers. Okay, here comes the tower. And he should try to wall the base of that tower too. This tower will protect his berries. It could protect his wood. It could protect his stone. I think it's too late though. I guess Flying Mouse does have a few units here to help out. But Empire will do a counterattack and he'll kill at least 1 villager. Alright, tower goes up and Empire has to flee. Empire circling around the back. Alright, Empire still looking for damage. He might find Flying Mouse's gold. Empire is on his way up to the castle age as well. Flying Mouse is nowhere close, although Flying Mouse could probably be a lot closer if he canceled his 7 villagers that are queued up. This is kind of jittery. Or, since Flying Mouse has secured water, he can and maybe should be making more fishing ships, but he's distracted by these units in his base. Empire circling around. Empire not finding this, yeah, he did not find Flying Mouse's gold. So he actually does not know to check here. If Empire had found this through scouting, he could be over here right now, wreaking havoc on Flying Mouse's gold, but he just doesn't know to be here. And at this point, Flying Mouse has built up a defending army, and Flying Mouse knows that his gold is here, but he doesn't know whether or not Empire knows. So that's why he's sending his troops here. He expects the Empire would come from this direction to go after his gold. Alright, so Empire Castle Age, what's he going to do with it? He's getting crossbowmen. I guess that makes sense. And he's making a demolition raft. So he still intends to contest water. Flying Mouse getting a good hit with a demolition raft himself. And pushing Empire back. So Empire has to wait for some reinforcements. There is a demolition raft of his own coming. This is actually going to be pretty good if he manages to nail it. But Empire not paying attention. Not paying attention. Right, he could probably still win that. Yep. So the demolition raft helps Empire win in that location. So now Empire has a crossbow army. And Flying Mouse is fleeing this location. Flying Mouse with the forward archery ranges. Flying Mouse does not really like to wall very much. It's something I've noticed about him. Let's see where Flying Mouse is at with resources. Alright, so he's about 1/3 of the way up to the Castle Age. These house building villagers, again, just a random house location. House literally does no good there. He could build the houses here. He doesn't need that house there. And this could cause Flying Mouse to take excessive economic damage based on how he builds houses. Alright, so he evacuates this area. He might get away. Yeah, it looks like he's going to get away. The villagers, at least, not the archer. And these are smart house locations because they are at the base of the tower. So they prevent the base of the tower from coming under attack. Although, I do think the Empire could simply march these crossbows to the base of this tower. And sure, I mean, Flying Mouse could garrison it, but so what? He could only fit 5 villagers in it, and the rest could get picked off by these crossbows. We might see that happen here. And Empire, of course, knows about this watchtower. But Flying Mouse has not taken any proactive measure to prevent Empire from doing exactly this. And yeah, here it is. So Flying Mouse has to flee. I mean, sure, maybe a couple crossbowmen that are not within the minimum range of the tower get taken out, but now there are 5 trapped villagers. Flying Mouse abandons this wood line, and a few more villagers go down as that abandonment happens. So I guess Flying Mouse is going to take wood here instead, or maybe over here. But he doesn't really have an answer to this ball of crossbows. So he is Castle Age himself now. He is getting crossbowmen, and he is getting the first armor upgrade on cavalry. So, in my opinion, Flying Mouse does not have enough wood to, or he does not have enough stables to generate the knights needed to fight off these crossbowmen. He does not need more houses. This house is just a panic house. What he needs is he needs 2 more stables to help himself mass up the knights to clear this. But he doesn't have the wood because he's, you know, his economy has been disrupted and he keeps on building panic houses. But so would you if you had Empire here picking on you. Maybe, I don't know. If you were my skill level, you probably would. You would have resigned a long time ago, actually, if you were as good at this game as I am, which is not very good at all. Yeah, so there's 1 knight here, but it's not enough. Maybe if these crossbows take enough damage from the tower, the single knight can make the difference. Empire going to micro down this knight, perhaps, but Flying Mouse has crossbowmen of his own. And he does manage to fight off Empire, but at a high cost. Flying Mouse has fewer villagers. He's got 5 fishing ships, and he has, I think, a 4 villager lead. Yeah, 3 villager lead, 2 villager lead, a 1 villager lead. As these crossbowmen get in on his wood line. So he has fewer villagers than Empire, but more fishing ships. And Mouse deciding to build a town center. I think a good spot for the town center, if you can fit it, would be right here. It's not really easy to take resources from the top of the town center, but the bottom is much easier. And he builds a fortified church. Cookie Pirate, welcome back. I was just telling, before my computer crashed, I was just telling the stream that your Elder Scrolls content is very popular. I see that it gets many times more live viewers than the Planet Coaster. And so there's a big fan base out there. It makes me want to go to someplace in the Elder Scrolls for next season of Alchemy League. But alas, we already have plans for next season of Alchemy League, and the season after that. We're booked out, so they say, as Empire is approaching Flying Mouse's town center with some rams. So, you know, rams are usually pretty easy to kill by knights, but when the knights are this outnumbered by crossbows, the crossbows actually don't really care about town center arrow fire. They're just going in underneath this town center, and the rams are going to destroy the town center. And this is, of course, Flying Mouse's starting town center. Flying Mouse, he built a second town center, and I guess he invested a little bit more into water than Empire did. But Empire is doing a one town center all in. Well, no, actually, he's got two town centers. He's just had better fights. Flying Mouse didn't really have good defenses around his base. He didn't wall. You were blown away at how many people are watching your Oblivion stuff, but your Planet Coaster 2 viewers are more active. Well, if you do more Elder Scrolls content more regularly, they'll probably become more active as well. The thing is, I'm not really sure, you know, because I don't know much about the games. With Age of Empires, there's a lot to do, right? It seems like the more custom content you can create within a game, the more committed of a fan base you can get. But generally, because so much specialization, this is actually a good mangonel maneuver from Flying Mouse too, to park that mangonel behind the fortified church. Yeah, Empire can't deal with this. He needs a counter unit to this mangonel. I was going to say that games that require a large amount of skill to master or make custom content for tend to have smaller, more dedicated communities. That's what I was going to say. So I don't know what kind of custom content or how high the skill ceiling is for Planet Coaster. It could explain the higher activity, lower viewer count. But yeah, if I were you, I would totally be making more Oblivion content, seeing numbers like that. It makes, like I said, it makes me want to just cancel everything and do a Skyrim map pack for the next season of Alchemy League. But we're just not there yet, I don't think. And I got some scripting technology I want to develop to get there first. I think would be pretty useful. All right, so little Flying Mouse coming out for a little counterattack of his own. You know, Empire's done a lot of damage. He feels comfortable with throwing down some town centers and booming up now. He feels like he's ahead, and he's going to close the game out by building a big economic lead and then crushing his opponent. But Flying Mouse arriving with some crossbows, and he's going to kill a bunch of villagers. He's actually going to deny this town center. And Empire is here just walling this off to prevent the crossbows from getting in. And these crossbows probably killed 6 or 7 villagers there. And once again, they are tied in villager count. Although remember that some of those villagers, I believe, are counted as fishing ships. I guess we could do the math here if we really wanted to add all of these up. 15 plus 11 is 26, 37, and then 37 plus 18 is the same thing as 40 plus 15, so 55. So actually, yeah, these numbers do include fishing ships, because these numbers are higher than 55. So, or at least Flying Mouse's is. So Empire going to build a forward castle here. This castle's in a good location. It's on a hill. It kind of protects 2 golds. It's a logical position from which to siege Flying Mouse's base. Flying Mouse, his main gold access is here. His other gold, though, is here. And that's kind of perilously forward, I feel. Now, granted, these golds have a lot of resources in them. They started out, it looks like, with 1358. And Flying Mouse building a castle of his own to prevent Empire from directly pressuring this location. I think Flying Mouse knows that Empire has that castle. Oh, he doesn't. He does not know that Empire has a castle here. But he may find out soon. Let's see what Empire knows. about Flying Mouse's base. He knows that there's a town center here, and he does not know that there's a castle here. He knows there's a fortified church. He's going to build a couple of outposts to keep an eye on this location. He knows there's a fortified... All right, he finds the castle now, and he's probably going to be pretty disappointed. Yeah, a lot of archers go down. He was not expecting to have to survive castle arrow fire and town center fire. He thought he could just walk in here and pick off some villagers. Although he's going to get lucky. He's going to find a few villager kills here. Flying Mouse having to relocate the mule cart. And unsuccessfully trying to wall this up. These villagers pull back to avoid these crossbows. And they're in range of being picked off by Empire's other group of crossbows. It's always a little bit painful to see crossbows, you know, dance around and counter the unit that is designed to counter them. But it can happen. It can happen. Alright, Flying Mouse building another house. Let's take a look at Flying Mouse's pop capped. He's at 160 population cap. And he just, it seems like he can't really... Okay, yeah, this is good. This is what he needs. He needs Stonewall. He walls that off. He does not want his opponent getting in here. These lumberjacks are now safe from crossbows. And he should have done that over here, too. And over here. You know, Stonewalls are worth it, you guys. They really are worth it. You can Stonewall, and then you can put your military somewhere useful and not have to worry about your villagers getting picked off all the time. Alright, so what's next? Well, Numa is just going to go imp. He sees his opponent's castle here. It's like, alright, well, you know, I'll just go Imperial Age. I'll build trebuchets. Remember, guys, that for Italians, Imperial Age is cheaper. So that helps out. Mouse is also clicked up to the Imperial Age. He's actually not as far behind as I thought he would be. So Flying Mouse doing a good job of making that happen. Empire, though, with a big villager advantage over Flying Mouse. Empire doing a better job of protecting his economy. Wait, what? 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 How did Empire get a mule cart? How did that happen? Does anybody know how Empire got this mule cart? Empire is Italians. Italians don't get mule carts. What the heck? Did he convert it somehow? Did he start with it? Does anybody know? Alright, so when this recording is over, we're going to restart it from the beginning to see if we can, you know, just to check if he started with the mule cart. We're not going to rewatch the entire recording. Not even to see where he got the mule cart from, but it'll at least eliminate that as a possibility or confirm it. And Empire going into Genbows, actually. That's a little bit of a flex considering that he hasn't seen any cavalry from his opponent. But these Genoese crossbowmen will be quite effective against the ideal unit composition of Flying Mouse. Now, Empire, of course, is going to see this. He has an outpost here. But does Flying Mouse know... Yeah, Flying Mouse does not know that Empire sees this. Flying Mouse doesn't know that there's an outpost here. So this is one of the rare situations where like an outpost actually works and does something in Age of Empires. Otherwise, not really. They're just kind of a waste. But in this case, the outpost sees you, but you don't see the outpost. So it's actually doing something. Usually the village, you know, whatever you have just stumbles into the outpost. You know it's there, so the villagers just shank it down, go somewhere else for a little while, and then come back and take the gold, and you just do whatever you want. But Empire not going to devote anything to this, which I think is a mistake. I think Empire should totally send like 6 Genbows over here. You know, does he really need 20 or 18 Genbows all protecting his trebuchet? I guess to be fair, he doesn't know. He doesn't know whether or not Flying Mouse has a stable hidden somewhere or has since built stables in areas that he hasn't explored before. But I still think this is a lot of villagers. Chances are if Flying Mouse is here... Okay, so Empire is just going to build a condottiero instead and have it raid this. He's actually going to build a few condottieros. But yeah, chances are if Flying Mouse is here, it's because he's out of gold here. And that is indeed the case. And Empire smartly recognizing that this is Mouse's other gold, And Flying Mouse calls the GG. He sees that he has no safe gold to take, and his opponent has just destroyed the castle in the front of his base. So, good game, fun game, back and forth. Flying Mouse winning water, but losing the match. Or the game here, I should say. I shouldn't say the match. We'll take a look at the statistics. Oh, look at this. They both had exactly the same number of units killed and lost. That's funny. But with Flying Mouse having destroyed one more building than his opponent. Empire with a bigger army. Flying Mouse collected more food. Empire collected more wood. Flying Mouse collected more stone. Empire collected more gold. By a lot. It's a pretty good indication of advantage there. Empire faster to age up in all circumstances. Empire with 2 castles. Flying Mouse only a maximum of 1. And Empire boomed up to 105 villagers, and Flying Mouse never got there. Now we're going to look at the next game. These guys played 3 games, but you can play between 2 or 3, whatever works best for you. If you play more games, then if you win money, you will win more money. So there is kind of that incentive there. Plus, playing more games helps us more fairly determine, what your stats were. It's only 4 games here, so we're not really calculating statistics based on a lot. Only 2 rounds after all in the first set. So we have Empire at 6 o'clock playing as the Red Huns, and we have Flying Mouse playing as the Blue Persians at 11 o'clock. All right, so we have a Shalado Warrior. Holy crap. So this is a very powerful starting scout, right? Like, everybody should be quick walling immediately for everything. You build a wood line, you need to quick wall it immediately. This Shalado Warrior will kill a villager in 3 hits. It has 2 armor, which means that if a villager fought this, it would only do 1 damage per shank. And it has 100 hit points. So that means it would require 100 shanks on this Shalado Warrior in order to kill it. So this Shalado Warrior is basically not going to die to villagers. It might die to town center arrows. It's got 2 pierce armor. These town centers have 5 attack in the Dark Age, so 3 damage per arrow, I think. 5 arrows, 15 damage. It will eventually die to a town center, but it will not die to villagers. So you need to be very careful. And I think Flying Mouse realizes this. He is already walling, which is very smart. Yeah, look at this. He's already walling up, does not want the opponent getting in on him, and is also trying to get his opponent. I mean, Empire had to abandon this lumber camp because Flying Mouse was here with his Shalado Warrior. So Empire built this lumber camp, and he's not using it. What is Empire doing? He's looking for the Shalado Warrior. Are they just going to fight? No. The Shalado Warrior maybe took a little bit of damage. I didn't see it. That may have been from the town center. Empire has 2 fewer villagers than Flying Mouse. Oof. That is rough. So this is telling me that although we missed it... Oh, shoot. I never went back to the previous recording to figure out how Empire had a mule cart. All right, well, we'll do that. We'll do that after this. I think this is going to be a quick game. So Flying Mouse killed 2 of Empire's villagers, I believe. I think Empire tried fighting it off, and that's why this Shalado Warrior is injured. And Flying Mouse, recognizing that Empire could do the exact same thing to him, he's going to take the opportunity to try to kill his opponent's very valuable scout. Does not succeed because the Shalado Warrior is fast, and he builds a double gate here. So Flying Mouse is not going to get hit in the same way. This is a little bit, this kind of shows, this is Flying Mouse's unfair map experience showing, right? Like, Flying Mouse is like, ooh, I can exploit this. This is a unique feature. Maybe my opponent hasn't realized that this unit is OP yet, which, can happen on Hyperrandom every once in a while. It's a pretty powerful unit. Otherwise, we have a pretty open map, I would say. It's, I guess it's got kind of average tree coverage. What makes it unique is the fact that the corners are filled in, and you can potentially chop to access more resources on the sides. So Empire wants to take these chickens, but, you know, is dangerous, and it's difficult to wall the chickens in. So he's got his Shallotl warrior here patrolling, and if he sees his opponent, he's going to fight him off. Yeah, and Flying Mouse, maybe Flying Mouse spotted the villagers. You almost maybe just ignore your enemy's Shallotl warrior. You just take the damage because you have 100 HP, and you just try to kill as many villagers as you can. Flying Mouse might try to do that, but Empire is 3 villagers behind at this point. Oh, come on, Mouse. Come on. Yeah, see, here it is. Even though, you know, the enemy scout is present, Empire is having a hard time contesting this. And you can't heal your Shallotl warrior either. And you definitely don't want to lose it. So Empire is in a pretty rough spot, and he's trying to like pick fights and get away, but the attack rate of this unit is such that, go on, just lure him into the town center. All right. Well, this unit has 29 HP left. I don't know how many villagers are needed to kill it. These villagers are loomed, but I don't think... All right, pull this one back. Pull this one back, Empire. And Flying Mouse just having a field day over here, exploiting his advantage. Here's the weak one trying to get away. Doesn't get away. And Flying Mouse pretty much has free reign here. Empire realizing he's got to throw all these farms down because he's not going to be able to take these chickens anymore. Sending more villagers out, hoping maybe he can just kill his opponent's Shallotl warrior and be done with it. The ever-vigilant Empire. Here comes Mouse for some more damage. Well, at least you can't heal it. If this were an infantry unit, that would be pretty busted, because you could garrison it in your town center and then come back in a few minutes with more health. All right, so I think Flying Mouse knows that he has an advantage here. He's sending a bunch of villagers across the map. Is this going to be Persian douche? No, it's not. All right, he's building an archery range, which is very smart, right? This whole Shallotl warrior thing, this guy is just here to get Empire to eventually throw up his hands and build a bunch of small walls, right? To isolate and protect these villagers from a very powerful scouting unit. And once you build the small walls, though, it's like making fish in a barrel, right? You have these little tiny walls, but enemy archers can surround those walls and shoot at your villagers. So in order to wall out archers, you need like big walls with like houses behind them and stuff. And Flying Mouse just going to send some villagers here to add to the chaos. Maybe senses that he has an advantage for now. He has added a militia. And with these other units here, it would be hard for Empire to micro down the Shallotl warrior specifically. So, you know, that's why he's adding these other units. And Empire eventually saying, GG, well played. So Empire, yeah, you know, a little bit maybe kind of unfair scouting situation. But I think what Empire is saying, I think Empire means it when he says well played. And well played is not necessarily, you know, referring to you know, a particular build order or strategy, but just Flying Mouse reading the map, reading this initial scouting unit that Hyperrandom giving him, and reacting to it and exploiting it faster than Empire could. Both in terms of like, okay, you know, clicking around, investing more time and energy in micro, but also like sending a bunch of villagers forward so that it's like impossible for his opponent, or not impossible, but a lot harder for his opponent to micro down that scout. He basically, everything that Flying Mouse did here to win, he kind of built that strategy and adapted and wrapped it around the capabilities of the starting scout unit. So it was well played for Flying Mouse. I mean, you never, on the one hand, you know, you never really like to see somebody win just because there's like a gimmick unit that they just exploit. But on the other hand, you know, if it only happens every once in a while, and it's not on people's radar and they're not planning for it, adapting to it could be a commendable thing. And so I really take Empire at his word there. So Flying Mouse has tied it up 1-1. Um, we're going to go back. I don't think we're going to look at the statistics here, but I am going to check this replay on the previous game real quick because I did say that I wanted to see where that mule cart came from. And all that I'm going to do is to just check. And yeah, they started with it. Okay. So Empire started with the mule cart, and I simply did not notice. So does that mean that, yeah, that means Flying Mouse had 2 free mule carts. Ooh. Well, I guess it's, you know, in a way, it's probably kind of like a nerf to Georgians to start with that, for both players to start with a mule cart, because what are you going to do with 2 mule carts that you can't already do with 1, right? I mean, I guess it's better, but it's not that much better. All right, so now we're going to get the honor and privilege of reviewing the final game between Empire and Flying Mouse, the tiebreaker game. All right. So far, the stream has gone really well. I'm quite pleased. It seems like the OBS wizard knew what it was doing when it picked these settings. I wish that I had used it a long time ago. Now watch, I'm going to go back to review the recording, and it's going to be like robot voice and slow motion and like slideshow counting the frames. Oh, I hope not. I hope not. But I do have my fingers crossed here. And if that works well, then you guys can bet that I'm going to try to get the most prestigious and awesome co-casters for future versions of the broadcast. But really, this is just kind of like a pilot show here for me to test out and make sure that I got this technical settings things figured out, because we got to do that. We got content to make. We got players to feature. Now, this is an interesting version of Hyperrandom. Look at this pocket here. Empire could totally hide a bunch of economy in this pocket, right? I mean, according to the mini-map, you could take a villager and you could walk all the way from this gold here to the very tip here, and you could harvest these monkeys. These aren't just monkeys. These are like apes. And indeed, really, the game calls them monkeys, but they are truly not monkeys. They are apes in general because they have no tails. So these are more, they're called monkeys, but they're actually old world apes. Like gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos, that sort of thing. Humans, even. Okay. Empire is Chinese. He is building a back lumber camp. I mean, it's pretty standard stuff. You start with Horse Scout, so good news for Empire is he doesn't have to worry about getting scout rushed again. Let's see how much. Whoa, this is a lot of forage here. There's 238 food on each of these berries, and the boars are a little bit leaner than usual, but at least the scouts are passive. So Empire's got a little bit more time to think. Flying Mouse, Blue Armenians. What's the plan here? I guess there are quite a number of relics. There's also this kind of sprawling center space. It seems to have, well, I guess the big feature about this is that it's just elevated. So potentially you could get a decent forward position on your opponent, maybe by building some buildings up here. Maybe we'll see a castle on this hill at some point. Could be quite effective. What do Armenians do versus Chinese? Well, Chinese have undergone a number of modifications recently. They lost access to mangonels, but they get these rocket carts. I believe that they lost access to halberdier, but they get fire lancer. So they kind of built them up with the Asian theming. I honestly gotta watch some Spirit of the Law videos to figure out how these guys change, just because he kind of packages some good entertaining content, describes an overview of everything that's going on, and maybe goes over a little bit of the math behind Age of Empires. I always liked his content. Even if he's not a pro player, he doesn't really have to be. You know, anybody can do research. And I wouldn't be surprised if they at least looked at it and considered, and then, you know, tinkered with it with their own skill sets and improved upon it for the purposes of winning tournaments. The Chinese build is always pretty weird, right? The Chinese start with extra villagers, but no food. So they basically have to get food in underneath their town center as soon as possible. And Empire does have a 1 villager advantage over Flying Mouse. So some town center idle time, and probably more than normal. I guess he now has 2. So it's generally between 1 and 2 villagers at most skill levels that the Chinese have an advantage over their opponent. So for Flying Mouse, I like Flying Mouse's map. I mean, he doesn't have great stone access. Both of his stones are forward. But I think Empire is in a similar sort of situation. Empire has a nice back main gold, actually. But I feel that Flying Mouse could, like, plug this. He could wall across to this yurt here. And then he could wall here to the barracks. And then he could wall here. And then he could wall down this way. And maybe button it up here. So he's got kind of like a lot of wood in the back. It's not like he's got a wall off a particular wood line, or like his wood could be denied with towers. It can't be. He could make some pretty compelling walls here. I love how villagers can build mule carts. Like, you see them building the mule carts. I guess you don't see them, to be fair, you don't see them building the mule itself. But it would be funny if there were like an animation where the mule walks in on the construction site and they hook the mule up. Because you obviously can't construct a mule. That wouldn't make any sense at all. Mules are gestated inside of other mules. So, build orders. What do we expect? Well, we see the Empire is on gold, so we could probably expect archers from Empire. If it were Man-at-Arms, he probably would have only put 2 on gold. Whereas Flying Mouse, also heavily on gold, probably archers as well. Although Flying Mouse has flags over his barracks, so he might open with Man-at-Arms into archers. Empire here with some militia. I think this is a mistake. I think you should get Man-at-Arms first. He's not going to engage. If I were Flying Mouse, I would have chased this down. I would have been like, hey, get back here. I'm going to fight you. But maybe they're both waiting for Man-at-Arms to come in, with Flying Mouse not realizing the Empire is going to get it a little bit sooner. All right, so Flying Mouse, his gold is disrupted a little bit, but not that bad. And again, Flying Mouse, come on, man. Just wall this off. You never wall this off so you don't have to ever worry about units walking through here again. But he's got units and he's got vision. And there are people that just swear by that. I do really like what Flying Mouse is doing here with his scout. He's just left his scout here to keep an eye on whether or not his opponent walks back into this chamber. You know, you can kind of call it a chamber, right? You got wood here, there's kind of a choke point. And, you know, his opponent could make a pretty compelling lumbering camp back here. Could harvest all kinds of forest resources. Although, to be fair, Flying Mouse does not know that this is all blocked off yet. He may just assume that this is an island of trees and a sea of grass. So, one sec. All right, sorry about that. I couldn't commentate it, but I think we had our camera on most of the action. You can see a little brawl here in which Empire comes out on top, kills the archers, and Flying Mouse, I guess, feeling like, well, you know, I don't have any archers left, and Man-at-Arms are not going to be an effective way to fight this. So he withdraws back to his base to pick up a few more archers and skirmishers and potentially take another fight here. Chinese, they don't really get any specific archer bonus, right? They, you know, their archers are not particularly better than anybody else's, but they have cheaper technologies, so they can tech switch in and around and in support of archers more efficiently than perhaps other civilizations. And they do start with the extra villagers, so you could make the argument that they have a better economy to begin with. Flying Mouse having to withdraw here. This is another panic house. Just get out, man. Just jump in the town center. Make skirmishers. It's not ideal. It'll slow down your castle age, but the alternative is to have six archers in your base picking off villagers. You don't want to lose the villagers, and Flying Mouse is already 5 villagers behind his opponent, and he should be quicker to pull his villagers off and prevent damage. Either that or more proactive in walling. This was not a challenging map to wall, I feel, but Flying Mouse, he doesn't like walls. He doesn't like walls. He likes to be on the offensive. Who doesn't like to be on the offensive, I guess? So Empire, expecting that Flying Mouse will switch into something that is countered by stables, is building a stable. And maybe he feels like, I guess he sees a bunch of skirmishers, right? So he knows that Flying Mouse has units that are vulnerable to knights or scouts. And Flying Mouse comes here with these skirmishers. These skirmishers, they do not have the armor upgrades. They have the range upgrade. Without the armor, they're not that great, really. And Empire all over. Empire really showing us the danger of his archer builds. I think that's kind of a big takeaway of today's cast. Empire did this in the first game, and he's doing it now. Dude has excellent archer builds and good archer control. So you got to watch out. You got to be careful. And archers can be a difficult unit to deal with. They're damaging, and that damage is applied at range. And they're not something that you can just small wall out. And Flying Mouse building a tower in probably the worst possible location. Right up there where the archers can get at it, and surrounded by gold on 2 sides, so only a limited number of villagers can work on it. But he does manage to get enough skirmishers in position to drive those archers out. Is that walled? It is not walled. Oh boy. Empire building a tower of his own. A forward tower. And Flying Mouse saying, GG, good luck next. Now, Flying Mouse is still in the tournament, right? But I think Flying Mouse recognized that Empire played very well. Which he did. Let's take a look at the statistics. So, Empire managing to close this one out in Feudal Age. Empire with 21 units killed, 15 units lost. No buildings were lost, which is, common in Feudal Age brawls. Largest army for Empire of 14. Empire with more food and wood collected and gold collected. All resources, really. Empire slightly faster than Feudal Age, but really not much. Not really a big advantage there. Empire just taking advantage of Chinese economy, both in terms of cheaper technologies and more starting villagers. And Empire with a larger villager high than Flying Mouse. Timeline, looks like Empire has an advantage, but it doesn't look that definitive. But yeah, Flying Mouse, I felt from watching all of these games, that Flying Mouse did not do enough to secure his economy early on. Maybe he was kind of surprised. Maybe Flying Mouse is used to fighting people that go heavy into knights, or go heavy into fast castle type strategies, and so you can kind of get away with the small walls in that case. But Empire here really punishing Flying Mouse's lack of defenses this game. But Flying Mouse is an adaptive player, and I think if he faces Empire again, I think he will, maybe he'll turn it around. Maybe he'll be more ready. But good games overall. Was really pleased. And it looks like I have finally found my happy space with all those stream settings. Oh my goodness, it's so complicated. There's all this stuff. It's a good thing we have the wizard to help us get started. I wish I had known about it sooner. So guys, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go back and watch the recording and make sure that it's not, a total PowerPoint presentation. But I really appreciate you being here, and I'm hoping to put out more high quality content soon. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you later.